When the doors backstage opened at America's Got Talent 2025, nobody noticed the young Filipino girl sitting quietly in the corner. She wasn't surrounded by a cheering family or a loud support team. She sat alone, holding a small cloth bag on her lap, whispering something under her breath. Inside that bag were her only pair of shoes good enough for the stage, borrowed from a neighbor back home in the Philippines. Her name was Maria Santos, and this was the moment she had imagined for years, even though almost no one believed she would ever reach it. Maria came from a small coastal village where electricity was unreliable and clean water had to be fetched every morning before school. Her father had been a fisherman who never returned after a storm when she was 9 years old. Her mother cleaned houses during the day and washed clothes at night just to keep food on the table. Music was not considered a dream in their home. It was a distraction. But Maria sang anyway. She sang while washing dishes, while walking barefoot to school, and while rocking her younger siblings to sleep in a one-room house with a leaking roof. The first twist in her journey came when she almost didn't make it to America at all. After passing the online auditions, Maria was selected for AGT 2025, but her family had no money for travel documents. For weeks, it seemed impossible. Then something unexpected happened. Her village held a small fundraiser. Fishermen, vendors, tricycle drivers, and schoolteachers donated coins and small bills. A local teacher sold her motorcycle. By the time Maria received her visa, she was carrying not just her own dream, but the hope of an entire community. Still, nothing prepared her for the AGT stage. As she walked out under the bright lights, the audience saw a thin, nervous teenager with a simple dress and an accent that made her introduction difficult to understand. Cowell leaned back in his chair, already skeptical. Another judge asked her about her background, and when Maria explained where she came from, the room grew quiet but not hopeful. The judges had heard stories like this before. Talent was what mattered, not sympathy. Then came the moment that almost ended everything. When Maria explained her song choice, Simon interrupted. He questioned whether the song was too big for her voice. He warned her that many contestants fail because they choose songs beyond their ability. Maria nodded politely, but her eyes filled with tears. For a moment, it looked like she might walk off the stage. The camera zoomed in. The audience held its breath. This was the rejection everyone expected. But Maria didn't leave. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and began to sing. The first note was soft, almost fragile. Some people in the audience shifted in their seats. Then something changed. Her voice grew stronger, clearer, and impossibly emotional. It wasn't just technically good. It was raw. It carried years of hunger, loss, and hope. The song transformed into a story, and Maria wasn't performing anymore. She was reliving her life through music. Halfway through the song, one judge's expression changed completely. Another leaned forward. Simon stopped writing notes. By the time Maria reached the chorus, people in the audience were crying openly. Her voice soared, filling the theater with a power no one expected from someone so small and so young. Then came another twist. As Maria hit the final note, her voice cracked slightly. For a split second, it felt like everything might fall apart. But instead of weakening the performance, it made it more real. The crack wasn't a mistake. It was emotion breaking through. When the song ended, there was silence. Not polite silence, shocked silence. Then the entire theater stood up. The judges rose to their feet. The audience erupted. Maria stood frozen, her hands trembling, unsure if what she was seeing was real. Tears streamed down her face as she bowed again and again. She had expected criticism. She had expected rejection. What she received instead was something far greater. The judges praised not just her voice, but her soul. Simon admitted he had been wrong. He said he had never been happier to doubt someone and be proven wrong. Another judge said Maria's voice didn't just sing a song, it told a story that people would never forget. Then the biggest twist of all happened. One judge stood up, walked toward the golden buzzer, and spoke directly to Maria. She said that moments like this were why AGT existed. She said Maria didn't just deserve a yes, she deserved belief. Before Maria could even react, the golden buzzer was pressed. Golden confetti exploded from the ceiling. Maria dropped to her knees, overwhelmed. She covered her face as the audience screamed. She cried not because she won, but because for the first time in her life, the world had listened. Back home, her village watched the moment on a small shared television powered by a generator. When the golden buzzer fell, people screamed, hugged, and cried together. The dream they had helped send across the ocean had come true. But the story didn't end there. In the weeks that followed, Maria faced new challenges. Pressure, expectations, fear of failure. Fame came fast, but so did doubt. She struggled during rehearsals, worried that her golden buzzer moment might be the peak of her journey. There were nights she cried alone in her hotel room, missing her family, questioning whether she belonged on such a big stage. Then came the live shows. Maria returned to the AGT stage with a new song, one she wrote herself. It was about her father, her mother, and the promise she made to never give up. Her performance wasn't perfect. It was honest. And that honesty once again captured the hearts of millions. America voted. Week after week, Maria advanced. By the time she reached the finals, she was no longer just the poor Filipino girl with a sad story. She was a symbol of resilience, courage, and the power of believing in something bigger than yourself. Whether she won the season or not, she had already won something far more important. She had proven that talent knows no borders and dreams don't belong only to the privileged. On finale night, as Maria stood under the lights one last time, she smiled with confidence instead of fear. No matter what the result would be, she knew she had changed her life and inspired countless others watching from small homes, big cities, and places where dreams often feel impossible. And as the music began, one thing was certain. This was no longer a story about rejection. It was a story about hope.